Hi, welcome to another CTF write-up. Well, not for an actual CTF competition, just for some practice challenges, which are on OverTheWire.org. If you saw the previous video, we went through the first on the list, which was Bandit, learn the basics, where we had 27 levels. I went through each of the challenges in the video. It's a single video, but there are links in the description to skip to any challenge that you might get stuck on. So if you haven't been through that, I'd advise to go and have a look through that before going through the second one, which is Leviathan. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. So there are 7 levels, and this is basic Unix commands and common sense. In case you did miss the last video, this is a wiki which is on OWASP Belfast. On GitHub, I created this useful links page, which has a list of good CTF and practice kind of hacking resources. So initially, I'm gonna do a series where I go through each of these. So without wasting too much more time, let's jump over to OverTheWire.org and over to Leviathan. We can see the difficulty is 1 out of 10, so that shouldn't be too hard. We have 8 levels. It's going to be on Linux. And if you watched the previous video, you know that we need to SSH in to this address on port 2223. And for the first level, we have Leviathan 0 as a username and the password. We're not given any information about any of the levels here, so there's no point in even once you've got this initial information. And bear in mind that we need to find the passwords in etc/Leviathan_pass, and the data for each level will be in the home directories. Bear that in mind, and then once you've got that, you don't really need to keep this page open. I will keep it open, but I won't be flicking back through to it. So I have actually copied the command just to SSH into this level, just to try and speed things up. It's a good idea to have that in Notepad, or if you just exit after each level, then you can just hit the up key and get back to the same command. Just go and change the username and enter in the new password that you've got. So Leviathan. I'm going to try to stop saying that too much because I don't know how to pronounce it. And because it's not the most obvious of spellings, I might have some problems with the password sometimes, but oh well. Okay, so we know then that if we go to cd etc Leviathan pass, this is where we're going to get each of the passwords. We'll be able to cat out Leviathan 0, but if we try to print out the Leviathan 1, we're not going to be able to, because the permissions are set so they can only be accessed by that user. So there's no point hanging about in there. Let's go back to the home directory where we were advised that we would find the data for each level. So if we have a look in here, we can see a couple of the usual files that you would expect to see in the home directory on a Linux system, but we also have backup, which is likely to be of more interest than any of the other directories or files here. So we can see we have a bookmarks.html. If we cat that out, there's quite a lot of information. So we're not going to want to sit and read through all that. So let's try and think back to some of the techniques that we learned in the Bandit challenges. One of the commands that we learned was grep. So perhaps if we try to grep Leviathan 1 from bookmarks, we'll get some info. So there's a link to password us on the site. This will be fixed later. The password for Leviathan 1 is, and there's our password. It's not a password that you'd easily brute force, and it would kind of defeat the purpose of these challenges anyway. So that's fine. So let's exit. Again, you don't have to exit, you can SSH straight from there, but I find it easier just to go back and then hit the up key, and then we can just change the username there. It saves having to keep copying and pasting addresses and then having to copy and paste the password, etc. So that password didn't work. Interesting. Okay, so the quote there. Oh yeah, okay. So the quote started here. So that quote is not part of the password. And then we go. We're into Leviathan 1. We get inside and we have this check file. So what could this be? Let's clear our screen. Start off with. And let's have a look what kind of file this is. So it's a 32-bit executable file, ELF file. If we run /check, it's going to ask us for a password. Let's just type in test, password test, wrong password, goodbye. So what could we do? We could cat this out. It's going to look pretty messy, I'd say. But okay, no sign of anything useful either. Let's run strings on it. Okay, don't really see too much there. The password could be love. Another thing we might be able to do here is run ltrace and then /check and just type in a different password, or the same password as last time, test. Okay, and what was it comparing? String compare TES to sex. Okay, so let's try and run /check with the password sex, and look, we've got ourselves into a shell. So let's have a look and see, who am I? I am Leviathan 2. Brilliant. So that means I have permission to cat out etc Leviathan. Okay, how do you spell it? Leviathan pass Leviathan 2. Okay. Cat etc / Leviathan pass. Okay, I was thinking there was a spelling mistake there, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, let me just cd into that directory. Cd into etc ls, cd into Leviathan. There is no Leviathan pass. Okay. Okay, we're in. So, oh yeah, okay, I see it there. So it was in that directory. We don't have autocomplete whenever we get into a shell like this, which kind of makes things a bit messier. That's cool. Let's cat that out, and there we go. We have our password for Leviathan 2. Awesome. So let's exit, and we will SSH into. We'll also exit that, and now SSH into Leviathan 2. Enter in the new password, and we're in. We have a print file. Okay, so let's clear some of this mess from the screen. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is run strings on that file. And see if there's anything interesting. We can see that bin cat is going to be called, presumably passing in the file name that we give it, and it may say you can't have that file. So the pretty obvious thing that we'd look to try here would be to run print file and try to print out etc Leviathan pass and Leviathan 3. You can't have that file. Okay, so if we were to make a new directory, let's say temp crypto and then echo hi to temp okay, apologies for the spelling, temp crypto, not crypto cat, crypto test.txt, and let's try and run print file again, but this time we'll do it to temp crypto test.txt. So that works. What about if we try to run the same thing but run ltrace as we did before? So we can see that it's going to try and access temp crypto test.txt. It's then using snprintf and bin cat to cat out the text file, and that's when we see hi. If we look at the permissions of this file, it is owned by Leviathan 3, so it's running under their permissions. There's obviously been something set there so that we can't just cat out another user's file, but there might be a trick that we can use to get it to do so. So bin cat is actually just taking in the last file name that it was given, I believe. So if we create a new file, we'll echo hi again to temp crypto test2.txt. A little bit of lag on the server. Okay, so we try that, and let's run the same thing here but with test2.txt. No such file. Okay, run it with ltrace. So what happened? It tried to print out 2.txt, so as suspected, it read the two different file names as two separate files essentially. So we should be able to use that to trick this into printing out the password for Leviathan 3. And we should be able to do that with a symbolic link. So let me cd to crypto, and I'm going to remove test.txt. I'm going to create a symbolic link ln-s to etc Leviathan pass Leviathan 3 to test. We may need to put in a full file path here, so temp crypto. So essentially the first part of the file name test2, we're creating a symbolic link to Leviathan pass. So let's try and run that. Now let's have a look and see if it's worked. We have there, okay, so we've got test is symbolically linked to the Leviathan 3 pass. So let's go back to the home directory and try to run print file with temp crypto test2.txt. Okay, so 2.txt, no such file or directory, but it looks like we've gotten ourselves a password. So if we exit and try to log in now with Leviathan 3, paste in that password, and we're in. You can see that we have a directory here for level 3. Let's cd into it. Oh, sorry, not a directory, it's here. It's another executable. Okay, cool. Clear this mess from the screen again. So, as with the previous challenges, we're going to look at the strings for level 3. Try and get an idea at the start. Sometimes the password could just be sitting here, or we'll get an idea what's going on with the program. So it looks like it's going to ask us for a password. We're either going to get zap wrong, or we're going to get a shell. You can see here a mention of secret, which could be a password, but let's run ltrace on it to see if we can get a bit more info. Ltrace level 3. Okay, so we have string compare between these two strings. Let's try one of them. No. Okay. Now the interesting thing there and here, here it was comparing these two passwords, but it was comparing them before it even asked for a user input. It wasn't comparing our input to what the stored password is. At the end, we have a string compare of what we did enter with snl printf. So although this is a function call, in this case it's pretty clearly being used as a string. So if we try to enter this in as a password, there you go, we have a shell. So if we have a look, who am I? We are Leviathan 3. Now, because we ran that in ltrace, I think that may have been an issue. Let's try snl printf. You've got a shell. Who am I? Great, okay. So let's try and cat out etc Leviathan pass Leviathan 4, and there we go, we've got a password. So let's exit both of these shells. Let's connect to Leviathan 4 with the new password. And we're in. Okay, don't see anything immediately in the home directory. Let's clear this out of the way. Okay, so if we look back at the list, there is the folder called trash. So let's cd into it, and we can see there's a file which looks like yep, another executable file. We try and run strings on it, and we can see that it is going to make a call to Leviathan pass and the Leviathan 5 password file, but we can't really see anything else. So let's try and run it. Okay, so it's given us a binary string. So this is likely to be our password. If we were trying to look at the actual conversion, we might want to just try ltrace and /bin. So you can see it's opening that file, the password file, but you can't see anything else it's doing. So it may be that it doesn't print out the binary on that occasion. So there's a good chance that they're just looking out for ltrace debugging being used, and if it's found, then they won't print that out. So there are plenty of ways to convert from binary to ASCII. You could do it in any language. Personally, I use an online site generally for this. There are some things which is a lot easier to do in Linux, like base64 encoding and decoding and converting to hex and stuff like that. You can do it in Python or Bash or whatever, but for this I would use this file, this website right here. So it allows you to easily convert between hexadecimal binary, do ROT13, decimal, base64, and into ASCII, which is what we want. So copy that over, and it looks like we've got a password. So let's try and connect to Leviathan 5 just to double check. And yes, we're in. Okay, and we have a Leviathan 5 binary. Cool, so let's clear this up. As usual, let's just run strings on Leviathan 5. And let's try and just get an idea. As I say, it is good just to look at the strings initially, just to see if any passwords stick out, and just try and get an idea what's in the file. So you can see some mention of temp file.log. Cannot find. Okay, let's try and run it. Leviathan 5 cannot find. Okay, let's try to ltrace it. Okay, fopen temp file.log cannot find the file. Okay, let's cd into temp. Cannot open directory. Permission denied. Okay. So we had a challenge similar to this before, where we created a symbolic link to etc Leviathan pass, in this case Leviathan 6, and we know it's trying to read temp file.log. So let's create that link and let's run it again. No such file or directory. Oh, okay, sorry, we changed directory. Let's go back to home. Oops, there we go, Leviathan 5, and there we go, we have a password. Cool, so let's exit. Let's try to get into Leviathan 6. And we're in. We can see again we have a binary file. Let's clear this from the screen. And as we have before, let's try and run strings. Okay, so we can see the usage is, it's asking for a 4-digit code, and it's either going to say wrong or it's going to get us a shell. Okay, so let's clear it. You may have noticed that I like my screen to be clutter free as much as possible. Okay, so let's try and run a file. Apologies, it's not me typing very slowly, it's the it's the lag, I promise. Alright, let's try 1, 2, 3, 4. It's wrong. Okay, let's try and ltrace it. Leviathan 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrong, wrong. Okay, no indication there as to what the correct pin is. So for this one, we're going to want to brute force through these pin numbers. If you went through the Bandit challenges, there was a very similar challenge in which I actually used Python, but it wasn't a very good script. What am I doing? CD make territory. It wasn't a very good script really for going through a 4-digit pin number, because the loop that I was using was looping from 1 to 10,000. It wasn't going 0000 and then 0001. It was going 0123. So luckily the password or the pin was above 1,000, but if it had been below 1,000 it wouldn't have worked. The reason I did that, I had a lot of scripts which were quite similar, which I've done for CTF challenges before, and it was a network based challenge using Netcat, so I didn't bother writing out like a bash script or anything for it. But for this, it's a very simple challenge. It won't take a lot of writing, so let's create a bash script. So just call it brute.sh, and we will say for I in 000, so it's going to start off at 000, it's going to go through to 9999, and it's going to do home directory Leviathan 6 and I. So for I from 0000 to 9999, it's going to run Leviathan 6 with the current variable, the current value of I. When it's finished, it'll be done. So let's write that. Let's chmod and make it executable, and let's run it. Wrong. Okay, and we got a shell. So eventually, got it right. It's given us a shell, and it looks like we are currently in the. We currently have the permissions of Leviathan 7, which is exactly what we want. So we can now go ahead and I'll cd into this, because for some reason I've been having problems catting it sometimes. I think probably my typing, but oh well. Yep, we've got a password. Great. Let's exit. Let's stop that script from running, and let's try to log in with Leviathan 7. Paste in our password, and we're in. We have a congratulations. Well done. You seem to have used a Unix command before, or Nix command before. Now try something more serious. Please don't post write-ups, solutions, or spoilers about the games on the web. Oops. Okay. So I thought there was more challenges. No, 6 to 7. Okay. So that concludes the Leviathan challenge series. Hope you've enjoyed it. And next up is Natas, which will be the web challenges. If you have any questions, any comments or anything, as usual, just leave one below, and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you.